Hi, I'm Marcel, and welcome to me screaming into the void mostly about books. I have a project where I want to highlight global genre literature because a lot of literature translated into English, especially, is more of the highbrow literary fiction type. And I want to show that no, people around the world read books and write books that have all of the genres in them. And therefore, I have this project of reading genre literature in translation. And now I am going to, for March and April, I had mystery in translation. I read two books. The first book I read was Satvaiit Ray, which is Feluda in the Golden Fortress. This book is about Feluda, who is a form of private detective, and he is, or he, I don't know if I'm going to say he discovered, someone discovered him, there was talk, he intersected, is probably the best way I can say it, with a very poor man who has a son who people think can look into past lives. So in India, the majority religion is Hinduism, and Hinduism is a form of religion that believes in reincarnation. That is why, for example, Hinduism is centered around a vegetarian or vegan diet, because while maybe you are eating a former family member, that would be uncouth, wouldn't it? So Indian religion or Hinduism as a religion centers around reincarnation. And this does something with the society, among other things, the belief that there are some people who can tap into their former lives. And so this boy of this poor man is one such person. And he keeps talking about the Golden Fortress. And so this boy has then now been taken by a man who he says he is a doctor. And they are now going to try and find the Golden Fortress. And Feluda, after talking to the boy's father, decides, I should try to find the boy. Because who knows what's going on. And then we have kidnappings, we have chases on the train, we are in a desert, we're a lot in the desert. And all of that good stuff. And there is a guy that really reads like Satvaiit Ray's sort of insert character, who is an author himself, that joins Feluda and Feluda's assistant on this journey because he writes adventure books and really thinks like, oh, this can be a fun inspiration for a new book, which of course puts a whole meta context on all of it. And this edition that I bought, it was a sort of a reprint of the book to celebrate the film's anniversary. It was the film, I was going to say 50 years. And then I thought for myself, no, the film can't be 50 years. That would make it ancient. No, it was published in the film came out in 1974. That's more than 50 years ago. I'm old. And so is the film, even though it came out in the 1970s. So this edition also have these pictures from scenes from the film. And also, and I wanted to just show this because I thought this was very cool. Rajita Ray, which also was, I think he also was the director of the film, he created these drawings that were title cards. So when you're filming, you need a form of title card so that the editor knows what he is looking at to be able to edit the film. And so Ray just created these beautiful title cards that are really it was fun to see them, because you can sort of see how both the book and the film very much was passion projects for him. And what I also enjoyed with sort of specifically reading this book is that it sort of highlights both, in one sense, the universality of genre. So there are so many tropes that I recognize in this book that I would have done with mystery/adventure books written by probably any kind of author, but also the fact that this is, in an essence, an Indian book. This book probably couldn't have been written by anyone else, mainly because the main conflict of the book is centered around this boy that can or cannot see his past lives. And everyone is taking this very seriously because we are living in a society that takes reincarnation for granted. That is a part of the societal worldview. So it made me sort of, gave me an introduction to how would that kind of worldview play out, not within a religious context, but within a day-to-day context. Now, the fact that this poor man just let this doctor take his child and just leave with this child is something I also reacted to and thought of, what is going on here. But again, that was things that probably could probably have happened in any country, in a sense, if you're going far enough back in history. And this is, the film came out in 1974, and the book was first published in 1971. But this isn't high literature. This is very much pure entertainment. But at the same time, it was very interesting because there is a cultural difference, and which made it a different way of understanding it, because this is pure action, adventure, mystery. There is no idea that this is high literature. And that means that the topics they talk about is presented in a quite different way than if this had been written by someone who won a Nobel Prize in Literature. The second mystery books that I read is, I think this was the first one, Havana Blues by Leonardo Padura. And I also read Havana Golden, which is the second book in the series. So this is a series about Mario Kondo. So we are in Havana, we are in Cuba, and Mario Kondo is a police detective. And there is a whole series of books based on this character. And what I found interesting with both of these books, and if you've read any more of his book series, please let me know in the comments if that's also the case with the other books. So when I was reading about what is mystery, I was told and taught and they ended up understanding mystery as a crime has happened. And the point of the book is trying to figure out how the crime has happened and solving the crime. That is the center. And then in some books, you know who has done the crime beforehand, and it's more about will the detective solve the crime and all that good stuff. And in one sense, this makes them very traditional crimes because Havana Blues is about a man who has quite high standing in Cuban society, vanishes. And in Havana Golden, a woman is murdered. So, and it's the job of Mario Conde as the police detective to figure out what has happened to these people. In Havana Blues, he's supposed to find the missing person. And in Havana Golden, he is supposed to find the murderer. At the same time, neither of these books are very interested in solving the mystery. While so the mystery is probably just half of the book. The second half of the book is that this is very much a love letter, and I'm putting love letter with a question mark at the end, to especially Cuba and Havana as a city. Havana as a city is very much its own character in this book. And a lot of the things that are going on is how are sort of the mysteries of Havana, the city. How can we figure out what has actually happened when Havana, the city, is hiding things, it's obscuring things, it's revealing different things than what we are going on. And that's probably what I most enjoyed with Havana Blues, where a man quite literally just vanishes into the city. It is gulped up by the city. And then it's sort of Mario Conde's job to go into the city and pick all of those things apart to find the missing man. So it's not the mystery necessarily itself. It's also very much the setting in which the mystery happens that is at the center. It's about how Havana as a city, what it allows and doesn't allow of activity, including crime. So that was one of the things I actually thought was very interesting with reading these book series, because due to the fact that the focus was much more in the city and the city's relationship to whatever was going on, rather than just solving the mystery, it meant that you can understand and contextualize what is crime. One thing is that we have the law, and then we have the law. We have what people are allowed to do, even if the law says that they can't, or what they are not allowed to do, even though the law says you're allowed to do that. So it's a way of using the context you are in, and that as a focus point, in a way of sort of playing with how can we understand it without it being high art. These are as pulpy as pulp gets. It's about a middle-aged man and the way he drools on every woman that he meets. And he is so proud of the fact when he can have sex with someone. And it's about drug use, and it's about prostitution. And it's not high art. But because there is something different, it makes you ask different questions. And so both of these books all three of these books sort of show what I mean with why I wanted to do this project to begin with. What can reading genre literature, books that we might not think of as high art, but simply be put in a different cultural context than what we are used to. And I am very much talking about it as a white Norwegian in the setting. What can that give us, even when the book themselves doesn't necessarily have a lot of high art qualities? So that was Mystery in translation. And for May and June, I'm going to focus on romance in translation. And I'm going to read Maria Chapdelaine by Louis Hallman. He is a French-Canadian author, which isn't a group of authors I actually read so much from, because very often when you think of Canadians, you think of English, and therefore they don't really sort of a part of translation literature, but Canada has quite a large French-Canadian population. So, and then I'm going to revisit a book I have read and absolutely love, which is Sin is a Puppy That Follows You Home by Balaraba Ramat Yukobu. And this is such a wonderful book that really, again, puts into question, how can we understand romance put in a different setting? So what type of mystery books set in different cultures than you're used to have you read? And what do you think about them? Give us suggestions and comments down below. And thank you for listening to me screaming into the void.